I'm persuaded that there should be no postulates or principles that act the same way as physical theory may be, and so therefore it's on a different, maybe it's an emergent. But let's take fermions don't make moral judgments, people do. In particular, it's the brain part of people that does. And so if I make a particular judgment, it's a moral judgment is not an undecomposed whole. A bunch of stuff goes into that. I could write a computer program probably. Those subcomponents, those you probably would concede I can study using naturalistic inquiry. So is there that much of a disconnection between studying individuals and making a moral judgment and then generalizing? Because then we're in a different, then it's emergent in the sense that it's discontinuous. There's a discontinuity between talking about individual psychology and morality in a group, which is puzzling to me.
Well, I don't...
It's not, but it's troubling because I actually do think we can study an individual. Let's say Stephen says he wants to help, his department or his family. We can figure that out. That means you draw on your memory, on your perceptual apparatus, on decision making, and we take all those things to be part of psychology that we can in fact study in a completely naturalistic way.
We can certainly study what people do in a completely naturalistic way, and then
including their moral judgments.
Including their moral judgments, but then it's a different question about how you would study what people should be doing. And I think, but it fits very well in, as Terry is pointing out. I mean, there's a reason why we had yesterday's discussion and then today's discussion. I would say that the right way to think about everything we're saying here is as an emergent set of phenomena, and I would say. The way I like to talk about it is what we were calling levels or scales or whatever are just different models, different theories, different vocabularies, different ontologies, if you want to go that far, for talking about the same underlying reality. And the point of today's discussion, I would say, has been that, or I would even say stories or narratives, just to irk Alex. So we have a story that we tell about atoms, we have a story that we tell about fluids, we have a story that we tell about human beings and their psychology, we have a story we tell about right and wrong. And the difference is that we choose which stories to believe in, to tell each other, and to proceed on the basis of, in a different way when they're purely descriptive scientific stories than when they're moral stories. When we attach meaningness of this is a good act or a bad act, whether you want to call it moral or not, I kind of agree with Steve that there's not much of a distinction, it's just a vocabulary distinction. So we're deciding whether or not in the emergent behavior of human beings to label a certain thing bad, or morally good. And the basis on which we make that choice, I think, as we're saying here, is a different kind of basis than the evidentiary scientific hypothesis testing basis. It's one that says, well, we all have certain beliefs, we all have certain inclinations, and we're trying to reconcile them and communicate about them and tell each other compelling narratives and things like that. But recognizing that distinction...
Are those beliefs and narratives not subject to the same kind of inquiry?
No, I mean, I would say that if someone says that parking in a handicapped space to save yourself a little bit of time going to the grocery store is okay, I would absolutely deny that they are wrong in the same sense as someone who says the universe is not expanding is wrong. They're both wrong, but in completely different senses. One is just objectively wrong because they're getting the universe wrong. One, I believe is wrong and would try to persuade you is wrong on the basis of my moral judgments that hopefully I overlap with you enough to make that case.